Alright, geometry, welcome to 1.3 midpoints. Real quick, guys, right off the bat, what is a midpoint? A midpoint is just the halfway point, right? So, we could do a quick example here. Okay, so if I draw a line, we'll call these points A and B. Let's call 0 right here. -1, -2. Okay, so that one's at -2. And let's put this one at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll put this one at 8. Okay, so if I were to ask you guys what the midpoint is, or what the halfway point is on this, many of you might just start counting, right? You might look at this picture and start counting. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The distance between these two is 10. So if I go to the middle is 5 away from either side, right? So if I go 5 away, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 looks like it would be at 3, right? So if I'm at 3, I'm a distance of 5 from -2 and a distance of 5 from 8. So that is the midpoint. Okay, but we don't need to do any of this because there's a nice way to do this algebraically. All we got to do is look at our endpoints, okay? We're going to add those two things together and divide by 2. So if I have -2 and I add it to 8 and I divide that by 2, -2 plus 8 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so midpoint is just the halfway point between the endpoints. The rule is that we're going to add the 2 points together and divide by 2. So here's an example. What's the midpoint of 25 and -8? Well, we're going to add them together, divide by 2. Notice I use parentheses here. So it's like really 25 minus 8, right, which is 17 over 2, which equals 8.5 degrees. Okay, but then we have midpoints on a coordinate plane. So here we have to consider the y values, right, and the x values. So notice, if we're doing this, the halfway point between the x's is the halfway point of this straight line, right, in the x direction. So I can look at what the x value is here, which is the same as the x value here, right, so it's like x2, x1, and then in the y direction, it's just this straight line. So this is going to be at the y1, this is going to be at the y2. All right, so to figure out the halfway point, it's the halfway point here and the halfway point here. If we draw a line, little dotted lines up, we can find that halfway point. All right, so we're going to add the x's together, divide by 2, add the y's together, divide by 2. This will make more sense with another example here. So let's look at this. 2a. On 2a, we have the points 5, 12, which I'm just going to graph really quick for a visual. That's A. And then -4, 8, which is here. That's B. Okay, I'm just going to kind of connect these two. Okay, we're looking for the halfway point, which is somewhere in here. Okay, to find that, I'm going to use the same strategy. All right, so I'm going to add my x's together. That's 5 plus -4 divided by 2. Then I'm going to add my y's together. All right, so it's 12 plus 8 divided by 2. Y value, x value, x value. You can call this x1, x2, y1, y2. Okay, so we add them together, divide by 2. When I do this, 5 minus 4 is 1, so I'm going to get, let's put the answers up here. I would get 1/2, and then 12 plus 8 is 20. 20 divided by, sorry, that 8 doesn't look quite right. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So my coordinate of the midpoint is simply 1/2 10. Let's see if that makes sense. 1/2 10 is right here, and that appears to be on that line. We can call that midpoint, I don't know, maybe you call it point C. You don't have to do that, but this is your answer. Okay, I'm not going to draw the picture for the next one, but it's the same thing. I'm going to take my x values, -8, add them together, divide by 2. Okay, I can represent these as a coordinate. Do the same thing with the y's, -2 plus 1 divided by 2. Okay, so then we're just going to simplify. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3 halves, and then negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1 half, and that is my coordinate. So that's example 2. Shouldn't be too bad, hopefully, not yet. Example 3 is a little more involved. Okay, so for example 3, we're trying to find the missing endpoint, and they give us the midpoint. Okay, so for this one, we know that the endpoints are E, which is negative 8, 6, and then G is our other endpoint, but they don't give it to us. So I'm going to call it x1, comma, y1. Okay, and then I know the midpoint is negative 5, 10. So to find this, you guys, we could just put this, we could graph this if you want, so we can see a little visual. Here's E, P is here, and then if that's this is the midpoint, we need to go that distance again, and G is going to be somewhere in here. So eyeballing it, it looks like it's at negative 2 something, 14 maybe, I don't know. But let's just figure it out. Okay, so to do this, sorry about the noon bell there in the background. To do this, what we're going to do is we're going to set it up just using this formula. Okay, so I've done that for us right here, but let me just do it again. I'm going to do x1 plus x2. Okay, I don't know what x1 is, so I'm just going to call it x1 plus negative 8 divided by 2. That's going to equal my x midpoint. Okay, my x midpoint is negative 5. So I can say this is equal to negative 5 because this is my x midpoint. This is my midpoint formula. All right, so for the y's, do it in another color. I would have y1 plus 6. Okay, again, coming from my endpoints. I don't know what this one is. I'm solving for it. Divided by 2 is equal to my y midpoint, which is 10. Okay, so then we're just going to do simple algebra to solve. So multiply both sides by 2. I get x1 plus, well, let's just change that to minus 8 equals negative 10. And here I get y1 plus 6 is equal to 20. I just multiplied 2 by both sides. Okay, and then we'll solve this. So we'll go down here. x1 is going to be equal to, if I add 8 to both sides, negative 10 plus 8 is negative 2. And then on my other one, y1 is equal to, if I subtract 6 from both sides, 14. Hey, I think that's what I guessed. And this is equal, so the final answer, the midpoint, will be a coordinate, so make sure you use your parentheses, negative 2, comma, 14. Okay, that is equal to point G, the endpoint. All right, so that one can be confusing, but just use your formula and plug in what you know. Plug in what you know. For example 4, it says find the value of x if C is the midpoint of AB. So look, guys, here's AB, right? I'm going to draw AB out. C is in the middle. And then let's do this. I know that AC is equal to 4x plus 5. I also know that AB is equal to 78. Okay, so if you think about this, remember that midpoint is just a halfway point. If C is the halfway point of 78, half of 78, you guys can find by dividing, is equal to 39. So I know that this is equal to 39 from C to B, and I also know that that is equal to 39, right? Because C is the halfway point, halfway to 78 is 39. So now it's simple algebra. Okay, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. 4x is equal to 34, and therefore x is equal to, I believe, 8.5 when I divide both sides by 4. All right, guys, that's the lesson. We'll see you next time.